Hey guys, it's Courtney here. Welcome back to my channel. Yes, it is hot outside and I'm only wearing this hat because I tried bleaching my roots the other day and they turned out orange and yellow. I am currently waiting for new bleach and hair dye and toner to arrive, but until then, this hat is staying on. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about pregnancy expectations versus reality based on my own personal experiences and based on some of the things that I've heard from other people. So if this sounds like a video that you'll enjoy watching, then please continue. Okay, so I'm going to be going through these in no particular order. They're just some of the ideas that came into my head when I was writing down what to include in this video. So number one, morning sickness. I think it's a common belief that when you get pregnant you're going to experience morning sickness. This isn't always actually the case. Morning sickness, even though it's called morning sickness, it doesn't just occur in the morning. So for me, I felt morning sickness throughout the first trimester and the beginning of the second trimester at random points in the day. It would just kind of come over in waves. At the worst points it was like an underlying thing that was kind of always there, and then certain smells would just suddenly like trigger it, or I'd just get this surge and just feel like I need to be sick, which wasn't very nice. So morning sickness, it doesn't just happen in the morning. And on the other note, there are some people that just don't experience morning sickness at all, and that's also very normal. So morning sickness, even though it's a common expectation that when you get pregnant you'll experience it, it's certainly not the case. Number two, weird cravings. Now, I didn't really experience any like cravings at all. Like I definitely had times where I was like, oh, I fancy this, but definitely wouldn't have called it a craving. So I know other people who have had very weird pregnancy cravings, but don't think that just because you're pregnant you're now going to start craving, gravel or pickles or foods that you wouldn't normally crave. Also, don't worry if you don't have any cravings at all. As I say, I didn't really. The only thing that I did do was I took a real liking to ice holidays at one point, but then I had to stop because I realised that sensitive teeth is something that can occur during pregnancy, and I actually chipped the back of my front tooth just by biting my nails. So push that one aside. Number three, the notion that you need to eat the two. Now, I think in the modern day it's well known that this isn't actually the case. Like eating for two certainly isn't what you need to be doing. In fact, you just need to eat a healthy, balanced diet throughout your pregnancy, and really you only need to start consuming extra calories once you get to third trimester, unless of course you get pregnant and you've got a low BMI, in which case doctors and midwives will want you to put on more weight, so you probably will be asked to eat more. But if you're a normal BMI, then you really don't need to eat for two, and as I say, you don't really need to start consuming extra calories until you kind of reach in the third trimester, as that's when your baby starts putting on more weight as well. In fact, eating for two or overeating during pregnancy can actually put you more at risk because you're more likely to have high blood pressure, and also the excess weight can just put extra strain on your joints and bones, which are already going to be under pressure anyway towards the end stage of pregnancy. So certainly don't try and force yourself to eat more than you need to or eat more than you normally would. Number four, the idea that you'll need to go to the toilet more. Now, I certainly experienced this, and you probably won't experience it straight away. It's just as the baby starts to get bigger, there's more pressure on your bladder, so you'll definitely find that you do start going to the toilet more frequently. So there's no better time to start doing your pelvic floor exercises than now. Okay, number five, the idea that you'll have a pregnancy glow. So people said that I had it while I was pregnant. I didn't really notice any different changes in myself, other than the fact that, my skin's never been bad anyway, but it was just very clear. But pregnancy glow isn't a thing that affects everyone. In fact, some people find that their hair goes weaker or that they come out in breakouts. It just depends on a variety of factors, so your diet and also the hormones in your body. Bodies react very differently to pregnancy, so don't feel bad if you're not feeling amazing or having the bright pregnancy glow. It's really not abnormal. Like, you're not on your own. Not everyone suddenly finds that they have really thick hair or long nails or perfect skin. So yeah. Number six, you'll be very hormonal. Now this one, again, it does just depend. It doesn't mean you're going to be a big emotional mess. It just means that you probably will be a bit emotional at parts. So go easy on yourself. Your body's going through big changes. Other side effects of pregnancy can affect how you deal with things emotionally as well, and also obviously your mental health and the state of your mental health before you got pregnant in the first place. So all of these are factors to be aware of. Speak to the people around you, since they're probably the ones that are going to be on the other end of your emotions. So communicate with your partner and the people around you and see if they can help you in any way as well, just to try and make things easier for everyone. Number seven, you'll get baby brain. Don't think that just because you get pregnant all of a sudden you're just going to have babies on your mind. I think this is one that, I don't know, I think a lot of people assume, especially as you get towards the end stages of pregnancy, but that's just really not the case. Yes, there will be moments where you'll see a cute baby and you'll be like, oh my god, or you're out and about and you'll suddenly get the urge to buy baby things. But then again, there's also the other end of the spectrum where you might not feel that way at all during your pregnancy. It really does just depend. Like for me, I was never really a baby person, and then as soon as I got pregnant, I did start finding that I would be like, oh, that's a really cute baby. On my newsfeed, I was seeing loads of people getting pregnant or having babies. Sometimes your perception can change, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that your entire world's going to become centered around babies. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean that babies is going to be all you want to talk about. So don't feel guilty. Number 8, your boobs will grow bigger. Now, this is definitely the case for a lot of women, or most women, I'd say, just because your body prepares to have a baby. So your boobs will get bigger. You'll probably find that you got 2 bra sizes during the pregnancy. So towards the end, it's definitely worth investing in nursing bras, especially if you plan to breastfeed. But also they're just a lot comfier, so definitely avoid buying wired bras and wearing wired bras during your pregnancy, because it can just damage your boobs because they are going to grow. You'll also find that the nipples get darker, and you'll probably find that you get more veins on your chest. Again, this is just because you end up with a lot more blood in your body, and your boobs are getting bigger to prepare for breastfeeding. Those are all things that I certainly found in my pregnancy, and you'll probably find with yours. Going on from the idea of having more veins, for some people varicose veins can be quite common. I personally didn't suffer from that, but a lot of women do. So you'll probably find that the midwife asks you about how your legs are feeling and whether you've been feeling any pressure in your legs, or if you've had any swollen feet. Probably won't find that you have it until later on in the later stages of pregnancy when your bump is a lot bigger. But a good way to just kind of ease this is just to keep your legs elevated as often as you can, and maybe even wear compression tights or leggings. So again, just speak to your midwife or GP and they'll be able to help you. But don't be surprised if you do find the odd varicose vein popping up. It's nothing to be ashamed about. It's just a thing that happens in pregnancy sometimes. Number 12, the idea that you'll have a big bump. Yeah, again, this isn't true. So every woman's body is different, and also pregnancies for the same woman can be so different as well. So just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you're going to have a big pregnancy bump. Some people go their entire pregnancy without getting a bump at all. Other people, they start showing straight away. It really does just depend on your body shape. So for me, it really wasn't obvious to most people that I was pregnant until the end of like the 2nd trimester and then 3rd trimester. That's when my bump really started to show. That's just because I have quite a long torso and I'm also quite thin, and also the fact that it's my first pregnancy, so my abs were quite tight. There are so many different factors that affect your bump size, and another thing to go on top of this is just because your bump size is small doesn't mean that you're not eating enough, and it doesn't mean that your baby's not going to be healthy. So I think there's a lot of pressure sometimes that pregnant women can either eat too much or too little, or if your bump's small or you're not showing straight away, then it means you're not eating enough, or you're not taking care of yourself, or that there's a problem with your baby. Just because you have a small bump doesn't mean that you're not eating enough. But if you are worried at any point, then obviously you'll have your midwife's support. But yeah, you're not necessarily going to get a big bump because you're pregnant, and having a small bump doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. So going off of that point, stretch marks. So again, it's a common misconception that when you get pregnant, it means that you're going to get stretch marks, but that's not necessarily the case. I mean, obviously there are some things that you can do to try to prevent stretch marks. So for me, I use bio oil. Ultimately, it just depends on how flexible your skin is and also how big your bump gets. Also, it's not just your belly that you can get stretch marks, it's also your hips, your boobs, your legs. So it really just does depend on your body. Also, if people in your family have stretch marks, and same with the varicose veins and stuff, then it does mean that you're more likely to get them as well. But I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like, pregnancy is a beautiful thing and your body is going to change, so just embrace the changes that happen to your body. They're marks that can stay with you to signify this important time in your life. And the linea nigra. So I didn't really know anything about this until I got pregnant, and then on my pregnancy app I was using Pregnancy Plus, and quite early on it started saying you might notice a linea nigra appear. I really didn't notice any line at all until maybe the last few weeks of my pregnancy, where there was a very faint one in my lower abdomen. But yeah, the linea nigra, don't worry if you don't see one. For some women they can have a very dark defined one. You can also not have one at all. It can be more common in first pregnancies and then less common to get one in later pregnancies, according to some people that I've spoken to. Number 15, everyone will want to feel your bump. So obviously this depends on the people that you're around, and remember, your body is your body, so you're allowed to set the boundaries. If you don't want people touching your bump all the time, it's perfectly okay to say no. Whether these people mean well or not, it's irrelevant. It's your body, and you don't have to have people touching your bump all the while if you don't want them to. I found that like there were 1 or 2 people like in work and stuff that as my bump started to show, if they hadn't seen me in a while, they wanted to put their hand on my bump. I mean, I personally didn't mind, but I certainly wasn't expecting some people to be so like just forward with it and kind of just reaching for the belly before even asking you. So, you know, do prepare yourself for that, and again, just remember to be very clear with your own boundaries. There's nothing wrong with saying that you don't want people touching your stomach. It's perfectly normal. So number 16, so another pregnancy expectation is that you'll be able to feel your baby move and kick around. But this again isn't always the case. The week that you feel your baby move depends on so many different factors. So it could depend on your body weight, it can also depend on the position of the baby, and it can also depend on like what number baby this is for you. So it's typical for women who are on their second or third child to feel the baby movements a lot sooner, just because they know what to expect. And they know what they're looking out for. Whereas if it's your first baby, you'll probably only start to notice the kicks later on. And in the beginning, it can feel like little flutters, and then you'll notice that they become more regular and defined movements. And again, depending on your body weight, will depend probably on how well you feel the baby move, and also how easy you are to see the baby moving in your bump. But there are also many women that don't feel the baby kick at all. I mean, there are so many cases of people not even knowing that they're pregnant. So don't worry if you don't feel your baby moving like as soon as you like. Number 17, another pregnancy expectation is having backache and rib pain and joint pain and heartburn. All of these things I definitely found were the case in my pregnancy. I didn't really start to feel them until second trimester. You know, even though my bump wasn't very big, I could definitely still feel the strain on my lower back, especially because I was working in a job that required me to be on my feet all day. So I certainly found that this became more and more challenging as time went on. Obviously your weight can affect this as well, and the size of your bump and the position of your baby. And to follow on from that, another expectation is the idea that you'll be breathless. So obviously as baby gets bigger, and all of your organs kind of move up and everything becomes more compressed, you become breathless more easily. So breathlessness is certainly an expectation that I found to be a reality. Number 18, so the idea that you'll be tired all the time. So you might read lots of things about how some women realise that they're pregnant because they find that they're extremely tired and, you know, they're throwing up. For other women, you know, they find that they grow more tired as their pregnancy goes on, as the bump gets bigger and as you become more exhausted. So the idea that you'll be tired all the time, it is true and it isn't true. Again, it depends. So for me, I found that I wasn't tired really at all during the first and second trimester. It was only towards the end of the second trimester and the third trimester that I found that I was definitely feeling more tired. But other women, they'll go their entire pregnancy without feeling very tired at all. I think with all of these points, it's very clear that it depends on so many other factors, but there really is no set standard. Pregnancy is different for everyone. Number 19, the idea that you'll have heightened senses. Now, I didn't experience this at all, really. I think maybe I was a bit sensitive to smells at one point. I was working in fast food, so it's hard to tell whether I was being sensitive to certain smells or whether it was just a particularly gross smell that would have affected anybody else. But let me know if you've experienced heightened senses throughout your pregnancy. Number 20, the expectation that you'll have lots of tests. Now this one is definitely true. If you are pregnant, you'll have regular urine tests, you'll have regular blood tests, your blood pressure will be taken frequently, so prepare for lots of tests. Number 21, Braxton Hicks contractions. I hadn't really heard of Braxton Hicks contractions until I got pregnant. The expectation that you'll have Braxton Hicks contractions is very, very hit and miss. I didn't start to feel Braxton Hicks contractions until I was actually in the hospital and I was being induced for labour. And then I'd get the odd tightening here and there. But for other women, they can feel Braxton Hicks contractions in the second trimester. And Braxton Hicks contractions are basically just the tightening of your uterus as your body prepares for labour, but it by no means means that you're about to go into labour. You're having Braxton Hicks contractions for months or weeks before you go into labour. And it's just your body just preparing itself. These tightenings should be very irregular and they shouldn't last very long, and they shouldn't really be very painful. If you are at all concerned, obviously tell your midwife and tell your GP. Point 20, I forgot what point I'm on. I've got a list that's next to me where I wrote all the points down, and then some of the points I'm skipping because I've realised that I've kind of mentioned them in other points, and so now I'm looking like I don't know what point I'm on. So I'm going to say point 23. Point 23, the expectation that your boobs will start to leak milk in the later stages of pregnancy. Now, again, this isn't the case at all. Your boobs won't necessarily start leaking at all. I mean, again, it might depend if it's your second or third baby, but for me, for my first baby, my boobs didn't leak at all. In fact, I didn't start feeling any leaking until my milk fully came in, which was around day 3 after giving birth. So don't worry if your boobs aren't leaking. It doesn't mean that your body isn't producing milk. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to feed your baby when they're born. It's just how it is. Number 24, the expectation that your waters will break. I think this is one that a lot of people are aware of nowadays. That isn't necessarily the case. So if your waters do break, don't think that it's going to be like how it is in the movies where it's going to be one big gush. Your waters can break and they can feel like just a little trickle, or it can be a trickle that can go on for a few hours, and for other people it can just go all in one go. At the same time, your waters might not break at all. They might be broken during labour when you're in the hospital. It's something to look out for, because if your waters do break, then you need to see a midwife, because if you don't start having contractions, then you'll need to be induced within 24 hours. But it's not something that you need to be panicking about if you find that you're getting closer and closer to your due date and your waters haven't broken yet. Number 25. You'll give birth on your due date. I think this is one that not a lot of women expect to happen anyway. So just because you're given a date doesn't mean that that's the date that you're going to give birth, and you don't need to worry if you start going into labour like a few days or a week before, and equally you don't need to worry if you go a few days or a week or so over your due date, because it is just an estimate and it just depends on lots of different things really. Point number 27. I don't know if this is a common expectation, but certainly one that I became more aware of throughout my pregnancy. So the expectation that if your baby is breached, that you'll need a C-section. This isn't necessarily the case. Having a breached baby doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to have a C-section. First of all, there are a variety of things that the midwives can do to help turn the baby round. You can also give birth to a baby that is breached, depending on other factors. So C-section really is the last resort. Number 28, the expectation that you have to buy loads and loads of new baby clothes and toys. Yeah, this isn't the case at all. Babies, especially in the beginning stages of their life, all they need really is to be fed and to be loved and to, be kept clean. Just the very basics of survival. They're not going to care if they're wearing brand new baby clothes or whether they're wearing second-hand clothes or handmade clothes. Definitely don't feel like you need to go out and start buying loads of expensive clothes, because babies grow very fast, so they're going to be out of the clothes before you even know it. Just think about your own budget and be smart with how you spend your money. The only things that you do really need to make sure that you buy new are the car seat, their Moses basket and the mattress, the cot, anything to do with safety. Point number 29. The idea that every pregnancy is the same. Now, I don't know how many people actually expect every pregnancy to be the same. Every pregnancy is not the same. So just because you had an experience with one pregnancy does not mean that you're going to have the same experience with your second child or your third child. Every pregnancy is different. Point 30. The idea that there's a right way. There is no right way to being pregnant, because everybody's body is differently. Everybody reacts differently. Everybody has different circumstances, different medical history. Blah 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 blah. There is no right way to being pregnant. All you can do is to educate yourself, get the best medical help that you can, look after yourself, because if you're not looking after yourself, you're not looking after your baby's environment. So yeah, the only right thing that you can do throughout pregnancy is just trying to the best of your knowledge to take care of yourself and to reduce the risk to your unborn child. That's it. There is no right way to do those things. You just need to be actively and consciously making decisions with those things in mind, and in doing that you're doing everything right that you can. Okay guys, so that was my little list of pregnancy expectations versus reality based on my own experiences and reading that I've been doing, and based on some things that I've heard from other people. Let me know in the comments down below what your pregnancy experiences were and what things shocked you, or what things you found to be different based on what you expected pregnancy to be like versus what it actually was like. I'd love to hear from you guys down below. If you enjoyed today's video, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, then it's just at courtbubble21. I'll put it on the screen. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!